And it means so much to me and to Governor Walz that you knocked on doors, you called friends, you called in favors. You said, "Hey, I showed up at your softball game. Now I need you to show up at the campaign office." You put in the time. It was personal for you. Because of your efforts, get this, we raised an historic $1.4 billion, almost $1.5 billion. The work must continue of reminding ourselves that we have an ability to stay engaged in a way that will make a difference. The work that you all did, it's going to have lasting effect. The election didn't turn out like we wanted it to, certainly not as we planned for it to. And I know this is an uncertain time. I'm clear-eyed about that. I know you're clear-eyed about it. And it feels heavy. And I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about this absolutely insane video from Kamala Harris, as she's received a whole lot of criticism for being missing in action as DNC staffers starve. Yes, DNC staffers cannot pay the bills because they're not getting paid after getting laid off by the Kamala campaign, by the DNC, after she lost in a landslide to Trump. And instead of showing some leadership and going out and, I don't know, raising some more money to get her staffers paid, and all of the vendors who also need to get paid as well too, due to the fact that her campaign ended up $20 million in debt despite raising over $1 billion. No. She decided to take some time off and to go on a vacation in Hawaii, where she was holed up with her husband, Doug Pimp Handstrong Emhoff, paying upwards of $1,300 a day to stay at a multi-million-dollar property. And now she's decided to come out of the shadows and to address her supporters amid some of the criticism that she is receiving for being missing in action, because the Democrats don't have a clear leader right now. And I think the only thing that she accomplished with this video message to her supporters was answering questions about what she actually was doing in Hawaii post losing to Trump, which apparently was getting sloppy drunk, because this woman appeared to be very, very, very drunk in this video. Take a look.
And I am thankful because I know your character is such that you're not going to get knocked down. And you're in this fight. And the outcome of this election obviously is not what we wanted. It is not what we worked so hard for. You called friends. You called in favors. You said, "Hey, I showed up at your softball game. Now I need you to show up at the campaign office." Again, I'll say, the election didn't turn out like we wanted it to. Certainly not as we planned for it to. But understand that the work we put into it was about empowering people. That's the spirit with the work we did. Our spirit and our work was about saying that it is a strength that we each have to lift people up. And I know that about you. It's why you're part of this call right now, and all the work that you did over those 107 days and even before. That's your nature. It's leaders that we are dedicated to the coalition, that the strength of our country will be a function of our willingness to put in the work. And that we will do that work with a sense of joy, yes, with a sense of work ethic and understanding it's going to be hard, but it's good work. It's good work.
Yeah, I know a drunk when I see one, right? And I think that Kamala Harris is a drunk, okay? Either that or she was extremely high when she made that video. I mean, I don't know, okay? I'm just saying there has to be some explanation. There's no way that she made that video sober, okay? It seems as if America dodged a bullet. Actually, it is an understatement to say that America dodged a bullet by not electing Kamala Harris. America actually dodged a nuclear missile, okay? Because that is how much damage she would have done to this country, okay? I mean, it is, wow. It is mind-blowing to think that this woman has gotten this far in politics, okay? So she has left people stunned, okay? People are stunned by the fact that, one, she recorded this video, and two, the fact that this video actually got released to the public. Okay, I mean, this video is getting absolutely roasted. Kimberly Ross says, "Is this a joke? It's a terrible video. Yikes." Joe Concha says, "I'm not sure you guys want to be amplifying this. There's something off with the vice president." Yes, he's drunk as hell. Mary Catherine Ham says, "When you hand your phone to someone to police your social media posts, when y'all go hard, you want to hand it to someone who likes you." Yeah, exactly. You definitely want to hand it to somebody who's not going to embarrass you, right? And post it on the internet. Okay. This is bad. Dan McLaughlin says, "No video like this would ever have been released by a politician who is not hated by her staff. The joy is gone." I'd read a 5,000 word article on how this got approved for release. They wouldn't let her go on Joe Rogan, but they let her do this. Who thought this was a good idea? Who is this for? What is this for? What is she even saying? Once again, I will reiterate that we are ruled by imbeciles. Yeah, so she's getting roasted here, okay? And a lot of people are questioning Kamala's team, okay? Because apparently, behind closed doors, Kamala's team knew that Kamala Harris had no chance of winning. In fact, they basically came out and admitted that, yeah, our internal polls never showed Kamala Harris having the lead that the mainstream liberal media was pretending that she had, even when she had all of that momentum during the honeymoon phase of the first month of the campaign. Take a look.
When we got in, my recollection is some of that snapped back, but we were behind. I mean, I think it surprised people because there was these public polls that came out in late September, early October, showing us with leads that we never saw. I mean, it was just basically a race that in the battlegrounds was 46-47, 47-48. So that's not where we started. We started behind. She was able to climb out. I think even after the debate, we might have gained, 0.51. It wasn't a race that moved a lot. And so I think when you think about our own internal analytics, if you have Wisconsin at 47-47, or Pennsylvania 48-47 Trump, let's say, which I think is where we had it at the end, you've got to have undecided break your way more than your opponents, and you've got to get a little benefit from turnout, which we weren't able to do.
Yeah. So what we had here from the mainstream liberal media was a full-blown PSYOP campaign. Okay, all those polls showing that Kamala Harris had the momentum in the honeymoon phase in August, September, beginning of October. They were fake. Okay, they were there to try to create a reality that Kamala Harris was more popular than she actually was. But her campaign, her staffers, her team knew that, yeah, she's losing. Okay, they knew that, right? They all knew that, which kind of explains why she had to pay for all of those endorsements, right? Why she had to pay for softball interviews, why she paid for all of these very expensive advertisements and all these things to try to make it look like she had more momentum or that she was more popular than she really was, because they knew that she was unpopular, right? So again, it all was just fake, right? It all was fake, okay? And it was propped up by billions and billions of dollars in spending from the Kamala campaign just to end up 20 million in debt and to still lose to Trump, which is why you have some Democrat strategists coming out and responding to speculation that Kamala Harris is going to run for president again in 2028 or run for California governor. They're coming out and saying, no, please do not run again. Do not run.
Vice President has been instructing advisors and allies to keep her options open. That could be a possible 2028 presidential run or even a run for governor in her home state of California in 2 years. Harris has reportedly repeating in phone calls, quote, "I'm staying in the fight." Let's talk about it now with our political panelists. Theryn Bond joins us now, a Democratic strategist, and Luke Ball is a Republican strategist. So two different perspectives here. Welcome to you both. Theryn, we'll start with you. Is this a good idea for VP Harris to continue her political ambitions?
Not to run for president again in 2028. Please don't. I can't really speak for governor of California. Californians seem to support her significantly. We haven't yet been able to measure what that support looks like after this current run she just had. That may be the only thing that she, I guess, may make sense for her to consider. But another shot at the presidency, I hope she doesn't. And if she is relying on those same advisors that advised her this cycle, that's not who I would listen to.
Luke, I mean, she lost in a landslide to Trump in this election. If she runs for governor of California, can she win that race?
Well, I think she might have a hand up in California because I think that's one of the only states where she might actually have an edge. She'd have high name ID. But if she ran anywhere else in the country, I don't think she'd be able to get elected to dog catcher, unfortunately, because if I'm a donor, if I'm a Democrat, I'm looking at this race and I'm looking at the aftermath as we start to go through the autopsy of the campaign. And I'm seeing that we're paying millions of dollars to celebrities to astroturf the campaign instead of spending that money on critical resources, even like the DNC. If I'm on that side of the political aisle, I'm wondering why can't we give that to staff members as opposed to sending it to celebrities, paying $5,000 for having their nails done. Like the RNC went through this just over a year ago and we cleaned house ahead of the election. And I think that if I'm a Democrat strategist and I'm operating within the DNC, I'm having the same thought process. We have to have a come to Jesus meeting and figure out, number one, who the heck is the leader of our party? Number two, what sort of drastic changes are we going to make to position ourselves to come up in this next upcoming midterm election and start to change the direction of the country from our perspective. So I don't think Kamala Harris is going to have a shot at a national campaign anymore. Maybe she'd be able to find a home in California, but I think her national political spot.
Yeah, so when you have Democrat strategists coming out and saying, no, Kamala should not run anymore, that her career is basically over, you know it's bad, right? It's really, really, really bad for Kamala Harris. And it just gets worse because you even have some of Kamala's strongest pro-black supporters coming out and saying, yep, you know, we actually really need to do a lot of self-reflection in regards to why she lost because, yeah, we definitely have some issues. I mean, this guy, Bakari Sellers, again, he was a very strong Kamala Harris supporter because he was boo-hoo, whine, and cry, and this is so great for black people when she got into the race, right? He was doing his best Van Jones impression. And it looks like this man has been crying ever since she lost the race to Trump.
Given the outcome of the election, you now have this soul searching that is happening. And James Carville is weighing in. And as Berman told me off camera, it was like this was James Carville unplugged on the soul searching that Democrats are doing. What seemed to tee him off in what I'm about to play you is the campaign conversation around whether or not Kamala Harris should have done an interview, gone on Joe Rogan's podcast, and what impact that would have had. Let me play what Carville's take on all this is.
The vice president was thinking about going on Joe Rogan's show, and a lot of the younger progressive staffers pitched a hissy fit. If I were running a 2028 campaign and I had some little snot-nosed 23-year-old saying, I'm going to resign if you don't do this, not only would I fire that on the spot, I would find out who hired them and fire that person on the spot. I'm really not interested in your uninformed, stupid opinion as to whether you go on Joe Rogan or not.
Kari?
I mean, look, the Democratic Party is far beyond James Carville. I mean, I'm not sure that he's in the mainstream. I'm not sure the last time that he actually talked to voters who were in a barbershop or in a college dorm room, or the last time that he had a town hall meeting or visited a town hall meeting or pressed the flesh or kissed the baby. I love the fact that people go to James Carville so that they could have outbursts like that. He's the Dan Hurley of Democratic politics, where you just have these kind of manic outbursts day in and day out. The Joe Rogan debate is old. If she would have gone on Joe Rogan, she still would have lost this race. Trump didn't win this race because he went on Joe Rogan. It's hard to win a race when 75% of voters say they were better off 4 years ago than they are today. And, you know, we had this podcast yesterday on Pod Save America where you know, all of the campaign staffers decided to call up and go to Pod Save America. It was disappointing at best, hearing their lack of self-awareness, their lack of self-reflection, the inability to figure out a way in which you could win this race simply providing messaging and saying that we're up, whereby you don't believe that in your heart of hearts to be true, I just think was disappointing. And Pod Save America themselves have been relatively disappointing because they were supposed to be our ecosystem to compete with the right-wing Ben Shapiro's. We were supposed to have this information chamber that was Pod Save, but instead they've kind of become this cocoon themselves where challenging them becomes a hissy fit back and forth. And their messaging has not been one that's been able to prove successful with those same voters that we're talking about Donald Trump did well with. And so I think everybody needs to take a moment of self-reflection, including myself, to figure out how we can get better for 2025. People are talking about 2028. If we get smacked in 2025 in New Jersey and Virginia, then you blow it up. But until then, people just need to stop.
Yeah, so clearly Bakari Sellers is just another one of these stereotypical liberal black dudes that they bring on CNN in order to talk about the Democrat Party as if he has any idea what he's talking about. The dude knows that Democrat Party needs work, okay? But yet, I don't think he really understands just how bad Kamala Harris's campaign was, right? And the fact is that people are bringing up Joe Rogan. People are still bringing that up because that's a prime example of how her campaign was mismanaged. Okay, when you listen to Kamala Harris's team talk about the decision making around Joe Rogan's podcast, in which she decided that, hey, I don't have time to go to Texas and to do that podcast, but yet she had time to go to Texas to do a Beyonce rally that didn't move the needle at all. And then also on top of that, she was paying for podcasts like the Call Me Daddy, Call Her Daddy podcast to come and set up shop, $100,000 to set up shop in her location. But yet she decided that, hey, I'm not going to do a free podcast with Joe Rogan, probably the largest platform in the world right now. The fact that she passed that up and she decided to do other things and made excuses for it, again, it just shows you the incompetence of the people running the campaign. It shows you her incompetence. And for her to come out here to release that video where she appears to be sloppy drunk after a vacation with her husband while DNC staffers are not being paid, okay, while she still has a massive campaign debt, it shows you her lack of leadership. That this country really, really, really dodged a nuclear missile when it comes to this woman potentially being president of the United States. And I said this before the election. I said this woman has no business being anywhere near the White House. This country, we should be ashamed of ourselves for even allowing her to be vice president. We should be ashamed of ourselves. The fact that a woman like this could almost become president of the United States really reflects on how much America has fallen off of a cliff. I'm so serious. So thank God this country realized at the last minute that this woman clearly was not qualified for the job. And I just don't think she has a political future. I really don't. I think that her best bet really is to run for California governor. I do not think that she will ever become president of the United States. And her trying to run again in 2028, I think it's just delusional at this point because she's going to have a hard time getting anybody to trust her at all, okay, in regards to money, in regards to strategy, in regards to just anything at all, because again, she's clearly an incompetent person, okay? And everybody saw it. Everybody knew it because she wouldn't do any interviews. And just the way she was running her campaign, it just reeked of a disaster, right? An internal disaster that became more and more and more apparent the closer that we got to the election. And it's just crazy to me how the liberal media gaslighted people into believing that this woman is qualified for office and that she's a competent person when clearly that's not the case. I mean, you can see the incompetence now with this video she just released. She's trying to be a leader, right? She's trying to get the Democrat Party together before it completely falls apart in order to move forward. And she can't do that, right? She can't do that without being roasted by everybody. So I'll just say, Kamala Harris is a national embarrassment at this point. I think the best thing for her really is to just quit, right? Just quit politics and, you know, go and do whatever, right? Go back to cooking, right? Be a wife. You love to cook so much. You a chef, okay? Just be a wife, right? Just be a good wife. That's it. That is the only thing that Kamala Harris is qualified for at this point, as far as I'm concerned, right? Is being in the kitchen, okay? So sending Kamala back to the kitchen, I think is a good thing for her. And she should embrace that, right? Really, seriously, embrace that for the good of the country. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.